Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are group 3. My name is Galang Wicaksono and the other member is Gandi Sadilah and Sania Suryana Putri would present about educational innovation in the community participation. First, I'm gonna explain about school committee. School committee, the purpose of the establishment of school committee of that school community organization that has commitment and loyalty and cares improving the quality of the school. School committee that are formed can be developed specifically and rooted in culture, demographics, ecology, agreement, values, and trust that are built in accordance with the potential of the local community. Therefore, the school committee that is built must constitute the collective development of the physiological wealth of the community. Next one is parents. The role of parents in children's education is clear and unequivocal that they are the primary and first educators. First, because they are the one who provide teaching, education, whatever it is. For the first time, it is clear in their hands to exert influence and direction as to what they are and what they look like. Because they have the responsibility, obligation, and power to make children like what they want. Next is Education Council. The role of learning Educational Council provides a forum through which strategy, policy, and school education and early childhood development that can be coordinated at the national level, through which information can be shared and resources used collaboratively toward achievement of a great objective and priorities. And next is the role of learning resources. Learning resources are very close to learning done because with the learning resource of student can be able to develop their knowledge more effectively while the role in learning follows.
Now I'm going to be talking about community participation. How are their participation like school committee, parents, education council, and learning resources? The first one is school committee. In Indonesia, not a few school committees have not been able to carry out their roles and functions properly, such as the school committee in SMA and 28 region Tangerang. Based on the observation of a researcher there, is still not optimal in carrying out his role as a consideration, supporter, controller, and mediator. For example, the committee's role is not yet optimal in coordinating with students, parents. The committee also does not participate in the provision of teaching staff in school. The committee's coordination with schools has not been maximized. The role of the school committee is not yet maximal, and there are other school committee activities that hinder performance. It means in Indonesia context, school committee is not really maximum because some reason. And the second is the participation of parents at school. We found that Minister of Finance Sri Mulyani Indrawati highlighted the role of Indonesian parents in education, which he saw as still minimal. In fact, according to Sri Mulyani, schools and parents must be partners in children's education. Unfortunately, the role of Indonesian parents in education is still minimal. As many as 80% of parents never provide input in decision making at school, and as many as 30% never discuss with teachers, said Sri Mulyani. And the third is Education Council participation at school. The implementation of the principles has not been highly correlated with a variety of policy and political dynamics that have developed in each district or city. It is suspected that this is to be one of the reasons for not knowing or having the same perception of the local community regarding the existence and the role of the Education Council in the process of improving the quality of education services. And again, we found that Education Council in Indonesia is not really maximum doing their jobs, since we see that they're not really maximum. And the last is learning resources. If we are talking about learning resources, of course, we immediately thinking about the teacher. In Indonesia, teacher build up in urban areas, highly specialized curricula in secondary education, and the number of small primary schools with an average number of students under 1,000 people. And nevertheless, the excess of teachers in urban schools is an issue that needs to be taken seriously again. But in learning resources, the teacher is built up in urban areas rather than small cities. Now, talking about worldwide context, we're compared to Indonesia and worldwide. In Europe, appropriate use of ICT in school education is considered a key factor in improving quality at this educational level. The European Commission is promoting the use of ICT in learning processes through its e-learning action plan, one of the aims of which is to improve the quality of learning by facilitating access to resources and services as well as remote exchange and collaboration. See, from here we can conclude that education in Indonesia context and worldwide context is really far different. Why? Because we can see that if the government already prepare for the education but the society is not support, it will not run as well as like in Europe. So we need society to support our education too.
Next, we're going to talk about learning resources. Learning resources are the input in educational process. The availability of learning resources enhances the effectiveness of schools, as these are the basic things needed that can bring about good academic performance in the students. Since the very first school bell rang, students have been learning just fine with the traditional education resources for generations. However, with the technology 4.0 era that we live today, there are innovation in terms of learning resources. And now from that, we will talk about the traditional learning resources and innovative learning resources. First, we're going to talk about the traditional learning resources. Traditional learning is a typical face-to-face learning interaction that occurs in physical location, such as campus or school. In traditional learning, teacher and students' interaction in the classroom is the main thing which is focused upon. The thing that could be used for learning in the classroom are the resources in the traditional learning. Talking about that, traditional learning resources includes textbooks, workbooks, whiteboard, and so on, which used in the classroom. The examples of it are literature textbooks, writing textbooks, and even vocab and spelling workbooks. In addition to those, traditional resources also include any supplemental reading materials, like novels or poems outside of textbooks. To evaluate these traditional resources, the most important aspect is to make sure you choose material within the resources that appropriately relates to your learning objective. Next, we're going to talk about innovative learning resources. Innovative learning is a sort of learning by which the learner elicits change, renewal, reorganization, and a series of new things, thus achieving greater learning outcome. In this technology 4.0 era, the usage of technology has reached even in educational world, as it is added new ways of learning for students, also the resources for it. Also, innovation in education are of particular importance because education plays a crucial role in creating a sustainable future. Innovative learning resources could include chat rooms, emails, social media in classrooms, and many more. For example, if the physical classroom could not be held, by using social media, the class could still be run, but via online. Now, after talking about those, The traditional and innovative classroom both has their own advantages and disadvantages in certain aspects. Despite of the differences of the both learning resources, teacher could take the positive part and left the negative part by blending the traditional and innovative resources. It could be done by making the students attend physical classroom, also having some sort of test material or homework provided to them via online, which is one of an example of blending the traditional and innovative classroom. Now, I guess that's all from our group. Thank you for listening and watching. See you on the next video.